Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, guests, thank you very much for having us here. We are the Thunderbird Consulting Group from Thunderbird School of Global Management. My name is Robert McCracken. This is Caroline Kenduywa, William Hanson, Vicky Chang, and Justin Expineli. Today, we're here to talk about engaging experienced older adults in the greater Phoenix community. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank several people who are instrumental in assisting us to put this study together. The first one is Mayor Walcott, who helped us with putting together or with distributing our older adult engagement survey. The second is Nora Hanna from Experience Matters, who assisted us with putting together our focus group for older adult professionals. We would also like to thank Mike Alexander from the Atlanta Regional Commission, who conducted a similar study to what we are doing now. And lastly, we would like to thank eProv Studios, which is an organization in New York City which connects older adults to entrepreneurial activities. So older adults today are more engaged, they are more educated than they used to be, they have more time on their hands, and they want to be more part of our community. Now, in 2011, the first of the baby boomers started to reach the retirement age. Now it's 10,000 old adults, now it's 10,000 baby boomers every day who are reaching retirement age. This is not just happening in the United States, this is happening throughout the entire world. In fact, every community, every country is looking at the aging population equation in their own way, and many of them are looking at it as a problem. How do we address the problem of older adults leaving the workforce? However, here in Maricopa County, we look at this as an opportunity. This really is an opportunity for us to tap into this resource of older adults. This can allow us to stimulate the global economy through providing additional jobs for them or connecting them with jobs, as well as conducting knowledge transfer between them and younger adults. Now, in 2012, there's 463 older adults 65 plus in our community. In 2050, this is going to balloon up to 1.4 million older adults 65 plus. This represents $19 billion in personal income. Now, over the course of the next 10 minutes, we're going to discuss where Maricopa County is in terms of the aging population, some of these strategies that we can use to leverage older adults back into the community and to engage them within knowledge transfer.
So what demographic are we talking about in this study? We're talking about older adults who are 65 years plus, which makes up 12.2% of the total Maricopa population, 81% of whom are from white ethnicity. 14.1% of this age group are employed and earn a mean household income of $48,000 per year. 26.5% have attained a bachelor's degree or higher, and over 39% work in healthcare, education, and retail industries. So what does this mean to us? This means that this age group of older adults who are 65 years plus are a very valuable resource to Maricopa County, and we need to tap into them.
Well, the current population of Maricopa, 12% of them are over 65. And additionally, 14% of those 65 plus older adult professionals are employed. However, in the near future, both of those numbers are going to increase dramatically. These population projections indicate how drastic this demographic shift is going to be. By 2050, we expect the older adult population to go from 463,000 all the way up to 1.4 million older adult professionals in Maricopa. Additionally, the engagement with the workforce rate goes up significantly as well. So both of these things combined together, right now you have 70,000, nearly 70,000 older adult workers in the workforce, but by 2050, that number goes up to nearly 400,000. And again, these people working in the community turns into $19 billion in personal revenue for that demographic.
So after knowing that the adult 65 plus population will triple by 2050, let's look at how do they contribute to the economy. In 2012, employed adults 65 plus contribute 4.81 billion, and STEM workers 65 plus accounts for more than 30% of total economic contributions. According to the survey launched by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 49% of them are planning to retire in a few years.
So Vicky just highlighted the annual economic contribution of older adult professionals in Maricopa County. Now, what happens when these older adult professionals leave the workforce? Their exodus leads to cost of vacancy. Cost of vacancy is a revenue loss incurred by revenue-generating organizations due to vacant positions. Cost of vacancy for public sector organizations is the dollar amount associated with a reduction in productivity due to vacant positions. So synthesizing Bureau of Labor Statistics and quarterly workforce indicators data, we calculated 3 annual cost of vacancy metrics for older adult professionals in Maricopa County. STEM industries, including but not limited to IT and manufacturing, had a cost of vacancy of $806 million. The top 3 industries, healthcare, retail, and professionals, had a cost of vacancy of almost $1 billion. And the total annual cost of vacancy for all industries was $2.5 billion. The big takeaway here is that this $2.5 billion represents the annual revenue lost in 2012 for Maricopa County because older adult professionals left the workforce.
Experience Matters is a nonprofit organization that connects the talents and social opportunities, and that helps mitigate the cost of vacancy. They identify and connect talent with organizations by partnering with big companies such as Intel to help their retirees match the programs from other nonprofit organizations, so those STEM workers can continuously add the values to the community. On average, they help create a value. They help to create the human capital value worth more than $30,000 per annual match.
So now let's talk about our primary data. We conducted 2 parallel surveys to try and understand if there's a desire for young adult professionals to engage with older adult professionals and vice versa. We also wanted to know how they would like to engage with each other. From our survey, we received 247 responses from young adult professionals, mainly from Thunderbird, and over 382 responses from older adults in Maricopa. And what we found was overwhelmingly, both young and older adult professionals would like to engage with each other through training, through mentoring, on-the-job training, professional development workshops, and classes. And so what this means is that we need to create programs that can leverage these mechanisms to facilitate intergenerational knowledge transfer.
Now, the next part of our primary data collection was focus groups. We conducted 2 focus groups, as well as an in-depth interview with the assistance of Experience Matters, the Society for HR Management, and Encore.org. Now, what we found out was, in that 5 years prior to retirement, a lot of older adults, as they reach their retirement age, become disengaged, disenchanted with their work. They've been there 30 years, 20, 30 years. They've been doing a lot of the same jobs. They're no longer, I mean, the actual words were, the love affair is over between them and their work. After that, they reach this, what we call this black box of retirement. So they retire. A lot of older adults do look forward to this, golfing, grandkids, a lot of other things. However, after between 6 months and 2 years, they experience an identity crisis. They no longer know who they are. They played golf. They spent time with the grandkids. They want to redefine themselves, and they want to do so by engaging with the community. They want to work with nonprofits as well as for-profit companies. They want to transfer their knowledge. Now, on the HR side, what we discovered was that there is a disconnect between the way companies retire people and the way that they actually try and retain knowledge within the company. We also discovered that there was a disconnect between the way companies hire people as well as the way that older adults who want to re-engage within the community actually look for jobs. And that has to do with technology in most cases. Now, what this really came down to, the key takeaway here, was that older adults want to re-engage on their own terms, And on the other side, we have, and they also would have liked to do conduct a phased retirement in order to provide training and mentoring to other employees at their workforce. Now, on the other side, on the other side, the HR group is really, what we discovered was that there is a big disconnect here. So what we need to take away from this is that older adults want to re-engage, and companies don't really know how to re-engage them back in or keep their knowledge. Now, at this point, we'd like to move on to our recommendations. We've broken this up into 3 different groups. We're going to target the public sector, the government, and the education sector.
So for our private sector recommendation, private sector organizations must conduct workforce assessments, redefine retention, identify and prioritize older adult professionals, foster leadership development, and create knowledge transfer opportunities. Flexible older adult professional employment opportunities will maximize profit and productivity by reducing absenteeism and turnover and increasing retention. These companies have successfully developed engagement programs. For example, Chevron's Bridges program enables former technical and professional employees to stay connected via a community website. Applicants are considered for specific contract assignments such as advisors, recruiters, and technical specialists. According to a SHRM AARP study conducted in 2012, only 29% of organizations have conducted an older adult workforce assessment, an assessment that analyzes the impact of older adult professionals leaving their organizations. No single program works for all organizations. The big takeaway here is that each organization must conduct its own strategic workforce assessment. Only then can they develop engagement programs that specifically address their organizational needs. There must be a proactive paradigm shift towards retiring retirement. Organizations should attempt to eliminate traditional retirement as the exclusive option for older adult professionals who are approaching the end of their careers. This will empower organizations to retain, transfer, and leverage subject matter expertise and specialized skill sets for future growth.
Our second recommendation is for local governments. This recommendation revolves around connecting this older adult demographic to the existing startup infrastructure in Maricopa County. We've identified over 30 incubators in Maricopa County that we would like to connect these older adults to. This requires an analysis by local governments to look at these incubators and see which ones are the most valuable to connect to. I would like to recommend SeedSpot and Venture Madness. SeedSpot is an incubator in the Tempe area that has a demo day where 950 audience members just came to see what they were doing on that day. We would like to bring in older adult professionals that have expressed interest in advising a startup as a method to re-engage the workforce community into these different events that are scattered around Maricopa County and connect their experience with what the startups need to become successful. We identified 88 older adult professionals who indicated they had a desire or a strong desire to advise a startup in our 2-month survey. If we could connect even these 88 individuals, we could create $2.7 million worth of value for these organizations.
Now, our next recommendation is on the education sector. Now, what we recommend is creating a knowledge network. Now, imagine a network that attracts older adult talent from all walks of life, STEM, non-STEM, and then at the other end, it allows companies, it allows education systems, it allows governments, nonprofits to pull this talent out on a per basis, per contract need. By creating an organization such as this, a regional organization such as this, and scaling it up, we'll be able to attract more and more older adult talent into the area as well as re-engage them into the workforce. Now, when we talked about the private sector, we were talking about how do we re-engage, how do we retain knowledge within the company. Here we're talking about how do we re-engage older adults back into the community on a way that they want to, on their own terms. This is all about mentoring. It's all about classes. This can also transfer into the development of STEM master classes, which at this point we don't have. At this point, we'd like to talk about the next steps on the ladder. We've talked about 3 different programs here, 3 different recommendations. In the private sector, companies need to learn the value that older adults provide to them. They need to be able to recognize what they bring to the table and what they're losing when they actually leave their jobs. They need to conduct workforce analysis. They also need to identify, they need to prioritize, they need to find out who these people are and really pay attention to them. In the government sector, we need to identify the key startups and the key incubators and accelerators that we think are most accessible and are most interested in being part of a program such as this. We need to be able to connect the older adults to these incubators. For the education sector, we need to select an organization that's really going to pioneer this education network or this knowledge network, somebody or a group that is really going to be the impetus for people to come to them and allow this knowledge to transfer out to other organizations. We also need to determine how this will work, what will be the access from both the inputs of the older adult professionals to the outputs to the organizations that are going to use this. Now, at this point, we thank you very much for your time. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, guests, at this point, we'll open the floor for questions.